Have you ever wanted to play a build in Grim Dawn that is seriously different from the rest? Did you ever wanna feel like playing a more modern version of the game? Then this is the build for you. The time where you stand still and just spam your attacks are over. Now you can just zap through the maps using my setup. For this build we will combine the fiery strength of the Oathkeeper with our main attack being Vire Smite on an extremely low cooldown, with the magical goodness of the Arcanist. For the build to work, we have to use the Vanquisher set, which is an endgame item. But the great thing is that you can target farm it pretty easily. And if you have a max level character, it should be a piece of cake to get the items and transfer it to your Templar. Just open the Grimtools link and check for the item you want to find. So let's say you want to know where the armor comes from. Just click on it, scroll down and click on map. Here you can see the exact way how to go to this dungeon. And the Transcendent chest where it drops from will be just after the final boss. Of course I will be putting the Grimtools link in the description below. Let's have a look at the Oathkeeper skill tree first. Vire Smite is the bread and butter of this build, so we are of course maxing it out at 26 points. Thanks to Volcanic Stride, we leave a fiery trail behind us that can burn and slow enemies. Now you might ask yourself why I put so many points in Tectonic Shift. The damage we get from here is irrelevant for us. The only things we want from here is the cooldown reduction and the increase in range. Let me show you how big the difference is in damage. If we take 1 point out of it, we only get a decrease of 0.1 seconds. With that our damage is at 129,000. Now I will put the point back into it and you can see we are at 148,000. So that's a huge difference. Only put 1 point in Guardians, since they will be only here to lower our enemies' elemental resist. With their celestial presence, Judgment will be another one of our main damaging skills. This one also has the benefit of knocking down enemies, so if you get stuck or surrounded you can create a way out. Just 1 point here for some movement speed and defensive ability reduction, and then 12 out of 12 for more fire and burn damage. Judgment will also be further boosted by our weapon choice. Divine Mandate will be our exclusive skill, increasing crit, fire and our burn damage. Presence of Virtue could be a good permanent buff if you needed more offensive ability, but since mine is good already, I only put 1 point into here. What I'm really after is the next skill, that gives us a huge health and healing increase. I put 1 point into here for the resistances, but honestly it's really not that important. Resilience will provide us with a decent boost to our defensive stats if we drop below 66% health. It also comes with a short cooldown, having only 10 seconds and a duration of 5. And the last skill in Oathkeeper will be the temporary buff Ascension, which we aren't that interested in. What we want is the modifier, giving us 100% life and energy leech resist, and resistances to some of the more niche stats in the game. This buff could be another great source for the offensive stat. If you are struggling, you could for example put fewer points in Judgment and put them into here and here. The Arcanist will serve mostly as a support class for the build. The only offensive skill we use is Kalitos Tempest, which gets a bunch of benefits from our set. For example, the ether damage gets completely converted into fire damage with the help of our amulet. And with the set bonus, we reduce enemies' damage and resistances further. If we put 1 point in the side node here, we will deal much more damage. And this doesn't only count for the main skill, it also counts for Inferno. With this buff we get another way to cause burns, increase our offensive ability and boost their damage and crit damage. 1 point in Mirror to have an emergency escape, and with Sphere of Protection at 12 points, we get a flat 22% damage reduction, which is amazing. Plus we can absorb energy from enemy spells, on top of more resistances. Inner Focus provides us with a massive amount of spirit and offensive ability. With it we can wield offense without putting a single point in spirit. I put 1 point in Arcane Will for the defensive ability stat, and lastly 1 in Nullification to purge auras and spells from enemies. Regarding devotions, I have 2 versions for you. Let me show you the tanky version first. The biggest focus will be on the upper right of the devotion map, where a lot of defensive options lie. with the goal of reaching the Light of Empyrean, which will deal damage to enemies and reduce their damage. On the way we take things like Druid's Blessing to heal us, and we put even a few points in Obelisk for the armor and defensive stat increase. Viper will help to reduce our enemies' elemental resistance, and with Eldritch Fire we can get it even lower. If you feel that you have enough resistance reduction already, you could also remove the points out of here and put them into here. This one will be a better damage source, since it also causes burns. Ghoul will give us an amazing defensive buff, and with 3 points in Behemoth, we have another way to restore our health. Let's now have a look at the offensive version. We go for Torch to increase our fire and burn damage, in addition of getting the Meteor Shower skill. With Phoenix we get another way to deal fire and burn damage, on top of getting a protective barrier that absorbs damage. Lastly I took Revenant, which will grant more resistance reduction and a way to leech energy and life. The only problem will be to trigger this skill. Since we are not using that many skills, I bound it to my movement rune. Alternatively to Revenant, you could also put the points in Fiend or Magi if you wanted to go for more damage. For items we are using the full Vanquisher set, as before mentioned. This acts for the Judgment and Vire Smite benefits, on top of the fire and burn damage it provides. And this offhand will also be a must-have to really get Vire Smite cooldown low. Cinder Touch boosts our Kalidos Tempest and Soulfire, plus it summons 3 fire tornadoes for passive damage. Crafted Stoneblade Greaves for an overall great stat and resistance boost. Those legs provide another 3 points in Tectonic Shift, which will be of great benefit if we want to get to 22 points. Decent alternatives would be the Hellforged Leg Blades or the Rhymestone Leg Guards. The Crimson Lotus boosts our main damage types, as well as providing +1 to all Oathkeeper skills. This green belt also comes with a +1 to Oathkeeper, so you could use it instead. I'm using one of the best relics for an elemental build. This metal increases our Tectonic Shift further and boosts our Vire Smite with physical damage. Alternatively, you could use this one or this one. Rain of Ice and Fire provides another passively activated AoE effect that can even heal us. Lastly, this ring for +2 to Vire Smite and Tectonic Shift. First I'm gonna show you a Shattered Realm 80 run with the offensive devotion setup. And now an 85 run with the defensive setup. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below.